I've been in nightlife for 5 years and a dating coach for over a year now. When I first stepped out of my room, what I wanted was a friend and hopefully a girlfriend. I didn't have an Instagram, I didn't have a Facebook, or any kind of traditional social media. I wasn't influenced by influencers. I didn't find their lives interesting or inspirational. I didn't even know who they were. I didn't consume modern music. I wasn't indoctrinated in modern culture. When I stepped out of my room and into the world, I knew the people in my city weren't going to be like me. But what I didn't realize was that I was going to become like them. When I went out to that club for the first time alone, that change started to happen. I worked on my physical appearance and fitness in the years leading up to my going out. I looked good. That made me confident enough to stand behind some girls dancing. They liked it, and I liked it. I made it, or so I thought. Take a man, never give him any female attention, and then give him more than he could ever dream of. And what happens next won't shock you. I went out at every opportunity I could. It started on Fridays and Saturdays, until I learned that people party on weekdays too. My life revolved around preparing for nights. I didn't even know what to do during the day. I even stopped working out. Not like these girls care as long as I spin them around a couple times and ask them if they like space travel or time travel. I guess people call it taking action. There was a light. I met a friend, then I met his friends. They became my friends. Now they're my family. They were club promoters at the time, guys that were doing the same thing I was. Now the thing about club promotion is that it's effective. It's the best shortcut in the game. All the books I didn't read say you need status, logistics, value, and personality. You get all that. Just lean into the persona. Getting laid started as a dream, then it became a challenge, and club promoting made it a chore. New girls every week that I and the boys would tear through, faceless, nameless. They didn't know any better, and we certainly didn't know a thing. It consumed me, but not fully. The voice in the back of my head that was crafted through years of introspection and hardship, the voice that helped me escape the hole that was my room, my daily masturbation, my daily consumption of porn, my video game addiction, and depression. The voice that longed for a friend and hopefully a girlfriend was still there. It questioned everything. Do I even like clubbing? Should I be doing this? Should I be encouraging this? Should I be facilitating this? The voice became louder and louder. I was almost a year into it, and I remember a night where I just stood in silence observing the party. Guys going from girl to girl, girls going from guy to guy, getting so drunk that they're forgetting who's who, forgetting themselves, forgetting their boyfriends, forgetting their girlfriends. This was my world. All my friends lived here, they worked here, and I didn't want to start over. I silenced the voice and leaned back into it. There's a lot outside of your room. I had never been to a music festival, and my newfound friends loved them. I went to one and I was hooked. What a beautiful thing. The energy was unreal. It gave me the fuel I needed to stop thinking about what's right and wrong. I was already in heaven. The perfect blend of hot girls and good music, and after almost a year of taking action, I took perfect advantage of both. My city is Toronto. We have amazing summers, and it's hard to be a philosopher when you're jumping from festival to festival, especially not when you're having so much fun with your boys. What's wrong with that? We're men in our prime, we look good, we have game, why not use it? Talking to every girl that stops, trying to sleep with every girl that listens. It's not hard to make someone think you're worth fucking. Not many men have the courage to develop the sales pitch. You'll start out bad, but the guys that keep going and adapting it to be good enough to fool someone into thinking they're a king for a day get the result. I was addicted to the validation girls gave me, needing to feed it night after night. Come the morning, they'd leave, and the only way I'd feel good about myself is if I found another girl to tell me how cool I was before the voice got too loud. I still wanted a girlfriend, or so I thought. I'd try finding a girl that fit what I thought was the perfect mold. Someone that wouldn't cheat on me, someone that was pretty, someone that I could have a relationship with. When I think I found them, I'd either be too desperate and suffocate them with my expectations, or be too jaded to let them in. It never worked out, and in between my experiences would be a tornado of instant gratification. Every failed relationship was a lesson learned. I started inching my way to what I was truly looking for, and becoming the man that deserved it. Life was too fast, but then the world locked down. COVID closed the clubs and I slowed my life down. I remember how much relief that gave me. There's no way I would have missed a week of partying. It was my job, and it was the only thing I had at the time. The feeling of missing out was eliminated with the pandemic, and I could start rebuilding my life. During the first wave, I got back into working out, I got fit, more fit than I have ever been. The government money made it easy. Then the itch came back, and it came back stronger than ever. Before COVID, I lived in my dad's house. In the second wave, I moved to downtown Toronto. My roommate was a photographer, and I got free professional pictures taken by him. Those were put on a little app that I never took seriously before. Tinder. Game changer. All these girls with nothing to do, and here I was looking like a movie star living in downtown Toronto. I had more matches than anyone I knew. 3,000 pending and over 1K matched. I had volume. I didn't need conversation. My opener was, let's kiss. And it worked. I had girls coming over every day. That sounds like a dream to most guys, but it quickly made me go into a deep depression. I know, the world's smallest violin, but hear me out. The thing about addiction, it doesn't matter what it is. You're using it to fill a void in your heart. Replace the girls with drugs, alcohol, video games, masturbation, etc. At least with those, you're only really hurting yourself. What I was doing was worse. I didn't care about these girls, and they didn't know any better. They've been sold a lie by the culture they've been brought up in, creating excuses for them to use to feed themselves to the meat grinder. My friends started to notice, and they were impressed. I was the man. I started to teach them, showing them the things I said, which pictures to use. Then I started charging for it. Lucas, the coach, was born. It started with Tinder reviews and revamps. That was my bread and butter. You pay me, and I'll tell you how to better optimize your dating profile so you get the results. Results? What results? Getting laid, I guess. Around this time, I made some new friends, which gave me access to a penthouse and a yacht. We started throwing parties together, and the pre-COVID cycle started over again. This time, I couldn't shake the voice in my head. I wasn't happy, and the itch just wasn't being scratched. What was wrong with me? What am I missing? The people around me were chasing what I had, meanwhile, I was chasing a sense of purpose. I felt guilty. I was leading people down a path that I knew would result in them being miserable. I was taking advantage of clueless girls, clueless guys, and I was using them to validate my lifestyle. Boat parties, penthouse parties, more girls than I knew what to do with, more attention than I've ever had. A group of people that looked up to me. I had to figure it out. There's too much responsibility now, and I can't ignore my thoughts anymore. The results didn't mean anything. Before I could help anyone, I had to take back control over my mind, kick the addiction and start the process of healing. I deleted Tinder. I stopped hooking up, and I started thinking. I still went to the parties, but this time I was in control. I observed what was happening. Desperate guys and traumatized girls. All lost in a cycle of instant gratification and validation, coping with how hard life is. I realized the issue was a lot deeper than how people interact with each other. It was the culture of the city that was corrupted. I wanted to fix it, and the idea of creating a community to fight against it started to develop, but it was still immature. I went from helping people with Tinder to doing in-person coaching, with the goal of getting guys to break out of their comfort zone, give them a taste of the lifestyle I had. I didn't have a real structure to what I was doing. I'd make guys that had never talked to a girl go up to them and say hello. The money was good, so I was still hung up on giving these guys a result that would make them satisfied with the program. I was taking on anyone that was interested at any stage of development. I knew what I was talking about and how to ignite some sort of spark in these guys so they have enough momentum to carry it on their own so they'd leave the program satisfied. The problem was it was incomplete and still being run for the sake of making $1. I cared for the guys I was helping. I wanted them to be happier, and I'd warned them about the dangers of falling too deep into the validation loop. But it wasn't enough, and there was nothing to hold them accountable for that. The way they saw it was that I went through my wild phase and had all the growth of character because of it, but they had it all wrong. There's something to taking action, but I truly believe you don't need to chase the result of getting laid in order to grow your character. To be someone that a quality woman, or if you're a girl, a quality man, will want anything to do with. One of my clients loved the ideas I had enough to invest in them. He became my first business partner and allowed me to grow the idea further. We started to build a real business, and I added a filmmaker friend. Six Tribe was born, and it focused on bridging the gap between the in-person coaching with online branding, trying to best replicate the results I had. This concept did really well, especially since it solved the leaky bucket problem most of these guys had. They would go around meeting all these women, but when it came to retaining them, they'd fumble the ball with their 2005 MySpace-style social media profiles. Not having the right personal brand in the modern world of dating is a huge blunder. I still firmly believe that. Use it wisely. This made the product better, but there was still something missing. What was it? How do I hold these guys accountable? Do I have to make more content? Some sort of course they could follow? An action plan? Whatever it was, I knew what we were doing was half-baked. Time for some real talk. Most guys in Toronto are cowards. They've stopped believing in themselves. They find ways to cope with how unhappy they are, living vicariously through their video game character, replacing accomplishments with that of the next garbage Marvel movie character so that they can follow that story instead of creating their own. They smoke weed to forget about how little they did, and they think people like me can't be real or that we were just handed our lifestyles. Then they have the audacity to wonder why the women of Toronto won't respect them. Why would they? They have no ambition. The furthest their ambition goes is getting a promotion in their trash job that is just going to continue their cycle of misery. It's because the culture of Toronto forces these men to walk on eggshells and pits them against each other with a new stupid movement every other week that gives them a fake sense of purpose. It's why the men who reject that indoctrination are doing so well. Men who don't have no sense of entitlement, no sense of adventure, and never take any risks. They live passively hoping that life throws them a bone, a girlfriend, some money, or a friend. That's not how the world works. In fact, their worlds are so small that they're afraid of offending the people in their community that are just as lost as they are. They're afraid of losing that one girl they have a crush on or that one friend that keeps disrespecting them. They don't believe they can have more because they've been wired to believe that's all they get. Or even worse, they delude themselves into thinking they're doing well and hang on to that one win they had months or years ago, hoping that everyone is the same way. The guys that are killing it aren't like that. We're not coping because we're too busy capitalizing on how trash all the other guys are. We're the main characters of our own movie. We're entitled, we fight for what we want, we go on adventures, and there aren't many of us in the city. That's why it's so hard to date for the average guy. We stand out, your crushes follow us, they're always trying to hang out with us, and you're just on your bed high watching a movie about someone closer to us than you. We recognize each other and help each other dominate even harder. We build businesses together, we collaborate, and add to each other's lives. Because there aren't many like us here. While you're smoking weed to cope with your meaningless job, we're finding new ways to level up. The culture of the city isn't doing you any favors, and it isn't on your side. When Rome was falling, they had circus after circus to distract the population from the crumbling empire. That's where Toronto is right now. You've been fed lies your whole life, but there's enough information out there now that if you're still believing that garbage, it's nothing but your fault. You won't shortcut your way to being the man you want to be. You're going to have to go through hell and make mistake after mistake until you start seeing some wins. Now, what I want to create is a community to help. Help the people that align with the principles Six Tribe represents. That being a person of character means abandoning short-term satisfaction and validation, abstaining from drugs, excessive drinking, meaningless sex, and lack of action. It also means being an advocate and guide to people that are suffering from the consequences of their bad habits and not taking advantage of their weakened states. That you cannot take action without first having a foundation of physical fitness, which will translate to mental health, and that there are no masters. Learning to accept the teachings of your community and embrace the wisdom an aligned collective has. The city forces good men and women to abandon these principles if they want to date. Let's be real, most of you aren't in some wholesome friend circle that watches out for each other and keeps you held accountable for your short-sighted mistakes. If you are, good for you. Now that we're back to reality, the city gives you two realistic options: online dating and going out, both of which have been corrupted, and you're encouraged to abandon all reason in order to compete. Let's start something new, a community that builds your character, keeps each other accountable, and has long-term goals and vision. A place where a result is more than a one-night stand or some validation, but finding your purpose. That's what Six Tribe is, and I encourage all of you to see what we're about. Now, what's the point of saying all this if I didn't make any improvements in my own life? I did. Following these principles, I'm finally in an amazing relationship with an amazing girl. We both have strong values, care about our community, and have a greater purpose. How many dating coaches can say that? Most of them are perpetually jaded and single men that have abandoned any hope of falling into a relationship and have twisted their worldview to cope with their shortcut-driven lifestyle. I believe in something different. I want to create a community full of quality men and women so that we can change our city. If you're the kind of person that resonated with this video, you're someone that wants to stop taking shortcuts in life, put in the effort, and meet people that are aligned with their purpose and our principles, check us out at sixtribe.com and join our growing community. It would mean a lot to us for you to like and share this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are many more videos to come. Thanks again for watching. See you on the next one.